And yes, it's 0707. That means 7 minutes going past 7. Right here on Starr 103.5 FM. You know, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. And that's according to Albert Einstein. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. There's a whole lot of meaning in that. And Oprah Winfrey also said a long time ago that real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not. And that's the way we welcome you to your number one personality show right here on Starr 103.5 FM. And of course, in Kumasi on Ultimate 106.9 FM. And in Takrady, you're listening to us on Empire FM. You're welcome to Star Chat, where leadership meets insights and the most influential conversations unfold. Tonight, we crown a colossus of charisma and command. A man whose voice and intellect, I must also add that wit, has actually traveled through media, politics, and cultural spaces for decades. Firebrand, born right here in Korle, Ghana. Yesterday was actually his birthday, March 11, 1952. A man with the blue blood academic DNA, son of the legendary R.P. Baffour, first Ghanaian Vice Chancellor of KNUST, and one of Ghana's pioneering mechanical engineers. From those early beginnings, his life would evolve into a remarkable journey across journalism, communications, governance, and the creative arts. And of course, diplomacy. Educated at the prestigious Prempeh College and Technology Secondary School in Kumasi, he continued his studies in the United Kingdom, City of Bath College, Bristol Polytechnic, and later he crowned his academic journey with a master's degree in communication studies from the University of Leicester. Tonight we're celebrating him because indeed he's a great producer, a great director, and he's seen it all. Starting from the Ghana Television Company, well, GTV back then, or GBC TV, he helped shape storytelling on national screens. His creative footprints also extended beyond Ghana. This is a man who's worked with the Liberian Television, Nigeria Television Authority. He's been out there on Tease TV UK, diverse production in the UK, and back-to-back productions in the USA. He's a media maestro indeed. Consulted for former President Jerry John Rawlings. So tonight, we have him here in our studios. A one-time member of parliament. Actually, he went for 2 terms. Kicking it off in 2009, he entered parliament as a member of parliament for Ablekuma South. 7 terms until 2017, with a thumping 5,283 majority, preceded by Amele Tego and succeeded by Vanderpoel. Well, the pinnacle, he was one-time Minister for Information under President Mills in 2012, spinning policy into gold. So tonight, we go beyond the politics and policy. We talk to the man who's actually contributed to film, television, theater, cultural initiatives, and we're celebrating him today on the show. An entertainer whose comic brilliance has delighted audiences across West Africa, Africa, and the world, proving that intellect and laughter can coexist in powerful ways. Ladies and gentlemen, talk about storytelling, artistic excellence, and I stand up for this great man that we're celebrating tonight in the studios. A media maestro, a political powerhouse who represented Ablekuma South in Parliament for 8 years. Tonight he's on the show, and we welcome a true statesman, son of Ghana, Honorable Fritz Baffour, Ghana's golden voice. And if there's a voice that I really want to have, it will be that of Fritz. How are you doing, Uncle Fritz?
I'm very well.
Oh, that's the voice. Preparing for this show, when I was prepping, I watched you on KSM with Tommy and Unforced. And it took me back into time, the FNF show. Tonight, I have a deal for you. If only you have the tapes, you have the library tapes, and you have the production as yours, here at EIB Network, we'll make you an offer. And I think we can make some money on social media as well. So let's see how that one goes. But you're most welcome, Uncle Fritz.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. And how are you too?
I'm blessed, Uncle. And great to see you in living color, looking strong. Yesterday was your birthday.
Yes.
We'll talk about this some more on the show. But hey, a thunderbolt you are, and we're happy that we're celebrating you.
Thank you.
Yesterday you turned what, 74?
74 years.
Wow. We'll get into that some more. But we're live in Kumasi on Ultimate 106.9 FM. We're also live in Takrady on Empire 102.7 FM. And right here on Starr 103.5 FM. Also on GH1 Television. Tomorrow you catch a playback of that one. It's brought to you by Gold Board and Caveman Watches. My name is Bola Ray. So, Honorable Fritz Baffour, welcome once again.
Thank you.
And how was it like yesterday? How did the celebration go? Uncle Fritz?
It was quite a very exciting evening.
Okay.
Some ladies who are authors had a reading at the Ghana Club, of which I've been a member for 40 years.
Wow.
And we sort of collaborated and had a lovely evening. So it was really nice. Culture, reading, literature, that kind of thing. So
right.
It was a very good evening.
So at 74 and reflecting, you got the chance to do that. How's the journey been so far for you? Recounting all those experiences yesterday.
It's been a very exciting journey because you learn every day. Johnny Nash said there are more questions than answers, and therefore, that is my journey. Every day I learn something new, and when you reflect, you realize that there was a purpose for you to live on, and so, it's always exciting to have another year to your life. But you know that, at the end of the day, eternity will take you away.
Right. Well, let's talk about personal milestones as well, and you recounting all of it. What made you the most proud yesterday? I mean, sitting back, reflecting, thinking of milestones. Yesterday, what came to mind and you were like, so proud?
Well, I was sitting down, very quietly in the background, listening to the ladies and the wonderful talent that we've got in this country. And they sort of acknowledged me. And one of them said that I'd been a major influence in her life in terms of advice and direction. And one of the things I like to add to my CV is that I like to mentor. I like to pass on knowledge, because that was something that my father taught me when I was very young, that pass on knowledge. Knowledge is not something that you should keep. You should help people to grow. You help people to fly. You should be the wind beneath their wings. So I was very touched that she acknowledged that I'd been a major influence in her life.
Isn't that great? And that's what life is about, empowering and impacting the lives of others.
That's right.
It makes you feel fulfilled, huh?
Very much so.
Very much so. Now tell us, with all that you've done, I mean, you've spent decades shaping media, politics, sports, creative arts. With all of this, do you feel you are celebrated enough by Ghanaians? Or do you think that society still, tend to overlook true contributions? And be sincere with us, Uncle Fritz.
I will be sincere. I think as you grow older and as you grow wiser, you become humble, because there have been greater people than you before, and there'll be greater people than you afterwards. So if you're not celebrated, so long as as you said, you give value to your community. That's enough. All right, because sometimes being celebrated and being elevated in a certain way sends out the wrong signals. The most important thing is that you've helped people, you've contributed to your society. If you've made mistakes, you have to be sorry for them and learn from those mistakes so that you don't repeat them again. So, in reality, if I'm not celebrated in Ghana,
Right.
I'm also celebrated elsewhere. I mean,
Do you feel you're celebrated enough in Ghana? Was the question.
well, it depends on what you want, what you see and believe that I have done. Okay.
Right.
But I didn't do it because I wanted to be celebrated. I did it because I wanted to create a certain impact
Fantastic.
in society. When we started with the stand-up comedy and we started with the comedy turns on FNF, I never dreamt that it's 41 years since Tommy and I did FNF, and people still talk about it. I have people who tell me that it was something that they run home to go to see. So it means that at least we did something, but that wasn't the intention. Our intention at that time was to entertain and also to test our creativity.
Okay.
You see, so in reality, we keep on keeping on.
I love that. I'm looking forward to a point. Are you considering that FNF may be back at the National Theatre or Conference Center? Ever hit up Tommy and say, look, guy, let's just do this? Because you guys were, like they say now, the ish. You made it happen. FNF show was something else. It was what, Fritz and Fortune?
Yes.
Would you want to do that? If a sponsor should come or a company should say, look, we want to put you guys back on the stage.
I don't think that it's something that we really want to do. I meet Tommy quite often. We're very close. And when we talk, we believe we've done it and that somebody else should take it up. Yes.
and what do you see in the young, crop of comedians who are on the scene now? You still follow, don't you?
Very much so.
Are you impressed? Are you okay?
Yes. The social dynamics of a society changes. And so humor also gets transformed. And so there's a new kind of humor. But because I love comedy, I understand where that humor is coming from. And I've seen some very talented Ghanaian comedians. I like the way they communicate and all that. I believe that we're not doing enough to promote them and to market them. And that's been the problem with Ghanaian creativity. We've not been able to manage that creative resource as well as we should and market it to the world, because Ghana is one of the most talented countries in the world as far as I'm concerned. But we've not been very good about handling our resources, our precious resources, and adding value to them. But I believe that the young comedians, most of them are very good. Some of them need a little bit of polishing, but that comes from when you've put a good system in place to manage their talent and their creativity.
So you're saying some of the young ones are very good. Can you give us top of mind, maybe 3 names that you follow and you feel that, look, these folks are doing well?
There's what's the name of this young? We tend to, as you get older.
I know.
But there, name a couple for me. Help me.
I wanted that to come from you without me sounding. So you've heard of DKB?
Oh, I love him.
Oh, you love DKB?
Oh, he's super. Yeah. I have a lot of time for him. He's a colleague on The Boy too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
right.
true. There's also, I think, Lexi, the comedy.
Lexi is good.
Comedian, yeah.
Yes, Lexi is very good.
Lexi is good?
Yes.
There's a lady as well, Jacinta. I don't know.
Jacinta too. I heard her at the awards night and she was very good.
Okay.
As I said, they all need to be managed. They all need to be marketed properly.
You think that there's a problem with marketing of their craft as it stands, right?
I think in Ghana we lack the management of creatives. We haven't really done well in marketing creatives because, my stand-up comedy hit the highest in Nigeria.
Oh, not in Ghana.
No,
Interesting.
there was a place called the Night Shift. I went into Nigeria. They didn't have any real stand-up comedians. I did a show at Night Shift. The Night Shift manager said, "Hey, I want you every weekend." Then people started hearing about me, and then I was invited to many, many events.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
Whereas Ghana didn't recognize you or didn't see...
I don't think so, but we didn't really have the market at the time. We didn't have the venues. But Nigeria is a big country. I mean, 200 million people.
Night Shift Coliseum is on 34 Salvation Road, Okpebi, Lagos.
You got it now.
Wow.
Yeah, Ken Caleb Olumisi.
Caleb Olumisi, yes. Great guy. And it's the biggest nightclub in West Africa back then. It used to be.
Yeah.
So you performed there?
A lot of times. Times. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. So yes, comedy, I don't know whether it should be state-driven, should be private sector-led. How can we promote that craft? And it's not just comedy, music and everything.
Yeah.
What is lacking, sir?
Investment and a willingness for us to invest in a creative enterprise and say that, look, even if we have hard times,
right,
let's push it through till we hit the gold load. That's what is important. We tend to give up too easy. And listen, come on. I mean, it's now, I think, 70, 80 years since E.T. Mensah and the Ramblers, but that music is evergreen.
It's timeless.
And it's timeless, yes. And, and these people did not end up as millionaires, all right, because we realized their talent, but we didn't maximize it. For instance, my uncle was Bob Cole, all right. Bob Cole was my father's cousin. And Bob Cole died in a back room at the cultural center here.
What?
The center for, yes. A pauper. And yet, his music is, as you said, timeless, evergreen. So there must be something wrong.
It needs to be deliberate. We need to make a conscious effort. I'll come to you. I'm going to the phone lines now, but I'll come to you shortly and pick your brain on this. Since independence, which president has really been there for arts and culture? And maybe you have to tell us this. But we have a caller on the line. Hello and good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're happy to have you on Star Chat, and I know you'll be taking your turn soon. But we have your very good friend here, Honorable Fritz Baffour, and my name is Bola Ray. How are you doing? What do you want to say to Uncle Fritz as we celebrate him today on Star Chat? And by the way, that's Uncle Tommy and I'm forcing on the line. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
I am blessed. Sorry to have pulled you, out this evening. But Uncle Fritz is here as we celebrate him. Uncle Tom, tell us, what do you want to say to your very good friend today on the show, sir?
Well, I just want to say that he's been a great guy. He is a great guy. He's very humble, very helpful, very generous, very kind, very, very funny. Very, very, very funny. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's somebody, you really love to be associated with. And, he's somebody who is very, very, very cordial around everybody. He's just a great person.
Fantastic. And just another question, because also people want you to be on the show. We'll do that. This morning I was watching a tape of yours and also with Uncle Fritz on KSM show, and you talked about comedy, how it's evolved in all of that. He's saying that we need to do more for the industry, especially with our comedy, stage and everything. Do you feel same before I get into the next question?
Well, I feel I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to comedy, because I think a lot of people don't really understand the real sense of comedy. They've always looked at it as somebody can stand on a stage in front of people, and if I should use the word, or for the want of a better word, Jimmy. And when they say Jimmy, it means you are, like a concert person, but they don't know what it takes to stand in front of a crowd and make people laugh. It's a very, very difficult thing to do when you have to try and remember your jokes and then, as well as, communicate your jokes to the audience. So it's a bit difficult, but people need to understand that it is a very, very tough and difficult joke, because if you crack a joke and people don't laugh, it's like the ground should split for you to enter. So you've really got to understand who your crowd is, what they want, how they want it, and understand the real sense of comedy.
Fantastic. And as we celebrate Uncle Fritz on the show, two things that you would want to wish him, and also your message to the public out there about this great man that we're celebrating in the studios, Uncle Tommy and Enforcing.
Well, Bola, let me just say, like I said early on, Fritz is a great guy. I wish him the best of life as he grows older. I mean, may he get to 120 plus. Be the person that he is, because he's always. You see, did you hear his laughter? It's like a grinding machine. His laughter is like a nika, and his laughter is contagious. When he laughs, you laugh. Fritz, I want to say you are a lovely guy. I've always loved you, and a lot of people don't know that we are related somehow.
Yeah.
Are you guys cousins?
We are cousins.
Oh,
yeah, yes, we are cousins. A lot of people don't know that because of the Baffour and Unforcing, but somewhere along the line, we are cousins. Fritz, you're a great guy.
Thank you very much.
You're such a different person. You answer calls. Sometimes when I call you and you answer hello, it's like, did I call at the wrong time, or is that how he is, or he's not in one of his moods? But that is Fritz. You've got to get to know him. And Fritz, I've known you for years and years and years. You've not changed. You're that kind-hearted person, very generous. When you have, you give. When you don't have, you tell the person, I don't have.
Wow.
And so be that person that you are. God surround you with his angels of prosperity. So that even when you grow an inch taller, there'll be money on top of your head. Then I also jump on top and come and collect it.
That is so heartwarming, and that's what we want when we celebrate others and we're there for one another. Did Fritz change when he was minister? Anything you can tell? How was he like? Was he still that good friend and cousin when he became the Minister of Information? Do you recall?
Well, you see, Bola, when you are a minister, there's a lot of pressure on you. Okay. You understand me? So you're not that same person I would call and would answer, leisurely. There's a lot of pressure, and sometimes when you call, he might be in a meeting, something else might be happening. There's a lot of pressure on your head, so you become a totally different person. But the Fritz I knew, anytime I called, you just tell me quietly, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back, and he calls back.
Wow.
It is very, very, very. How do I put it? It's very rare for a minister to say, I'll call you back, and they call you back. I'm sorry to say this, but when some people get into power, that's it. They are a completely different person. They don't know you. They don't ask of you. They don't nothing.
Fritz
is very, very different. No. Fritz is not like that.
Wow.
He'll tell you he's in a meeting. I'll call you, and he calls back.
Wow.
And he's a fantastic guy. Fritz,
Thank
you're
you.
a fantastic guy.
Thank
I
you.
love you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very touched.
and we want FNF back on TV or something. If you have the old tapes and all of that, let's do a deal. Let's go down memory lane and let's see what we can do on GH1 television. But Uncle Tommy, you're also taking your turn soon here on the show. Thank you. Take your flowers. We celebrate you and we say God bless you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, boss.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Tommy.
Wow. So kind words. I mean, and that's how it's supposed to be. You're a very good friend, not just a friend, but a cousin.
Yeah.
You guys have paid your dues indeed. Well, I want to go on and say this. Recently, you mentioned that you've never missed Parliament because you've achieved more for your country when you were actually hosting a TV show, Sincerely Yours, than when you were in Parliament. Is that right?
That's very true.
How so? Tell us more about this, Fritz.
Well, I'm not saying I didn't do my best in Parliament, but I was just saying that in terms of value, in terms of the impact that I thought I should pass on, I found out that being in the creative arts was more impactful than being a politician at the time.
Are you serious about this?
I'm very serious about it because
this is.
Let me also explain. We have a duopoly in this country now. We have the MPP and we have the NDC. So therefore, if you're an NDC MP and you come up with something that is efficacious for the country, it's the standard and de rigueur for the MPP to say it's nonsense, or you have people looking at you with a jaundiced eye. So you won't make that impact. But with creativity, it's not about, which political side I'm on and all that kind of thing. When I was doing Sincerely Yours, I traveled around the world. I asked questions that I thought Ghanaians would want to ask if they were in the same situation and all that. And, the answers that came, people stand up and tell me, Fritz, thank you very much, because we learned so much. And especially when I started doing Sincerely Yours in Ghana, I went to every single region. At the time, we had 10 regions. I went to most of the heritage sites. I talked to people. I opened the doors for people to see the talent and the greatness of this country. Right now, I hear there are a lot of heritage tours and things like that. But I think that I opened the doors because Ghanaians didn't realize that they had such wonderful places and exotic places in their country. All right. And I did that because I realized that me as an ordinary Ghanaian, when I looked at my antecedents, I realized I come from various places in Ghana. And I have relations and I have relationships, and I can talk to people and I can understand where they're coming from and everything. So as I'm sitting down here, I'm very, very, very proud to be a Ghanaian.
Wow.
And, I appreciate Ghanaians from every single area of this country.
And you believe that the creative arts gave you that power and stage more than politics, because with politics, it's colored in a way.
It's colored, and you're called the honorable.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Right now, I try to disdain
that
from calling myself honorable Fritz Baffour. I'm Fritz Baffour.
That's it.
Because the honorable, I dropped it in 2017 when I left.
Right.
But all right, Ghanaians say once an honorable, always an honorable.
Once a president, always a president.
I said no way.
Oh, so you don't want to be addressed?
It doesn't really matter. I don't want to make a case of it.
Do you miss Parliament though?
Yeah, because it's a crucible. You meet people, you interact. I had lovely friends from across the aisle. I had wonderful people I'd sit with, and I'd ask them questions because I was a journalist, but I'd ask them questions out of curiosity. I'd meet somebody maybe from Kwau, and I'd sit down and I'd ask them questions about why there are certain peculiarities and things like that, and then I'd use it, all right, to understand and disseminate information. All right. I met through Parliament. I met people when I went around as a member of a committee. I met people from all over the world. I talked to them. I saw important things. But as a creative, all right, I was in Nigeria. I was in Liberia, and I was in Britain. And I realized that it was a softer and more amiable approach.
That's why it's
than
called
when you're a
soft
politician.
power.
Yes. You see. So that is why I was saying that without discounting what my colleagues in Parliament are doing. They have a job to do. There are some people who really enjoy being in Parliament. And they know that Parliament is the vehicle in which they can effect change.
Right.
There was a parliamentarian who's out of Parliament right now. But he one day touched me because I was sitting with him. He'd gone abroad on his own because he had a knee problem. So he went to India. And when he came back, I was sitting somewhere and we're talking. I said, how was India? And he said, it's a fantastic place and all that. But the great thing that he had done is that in his area, the shea trees, when the women and the farmers go to pick up the shea nuts, they get a lot of snake bites. So he had bought anti-venom from India. He said because that's where you could get the cheaper anti-venom, and he was taking it back to his area and everything. I was touched because he cared so much. But it's not a story that will be told, because even if you tell the story, it will vanish in the smoke.
Right.
Or whoa, he's just trying to fool people and all that.
Wow.
We're a little dismissive of politicians, so therefore we tend to be dismissive of the impact they have on their various communities and constituencies.
Uncle Fritz, will you say that maybe we are not telling our stories enough, maybe as politicians, and that is why maybe the creative arts can play a very key role?
I think you've got a point there, but I also have to say something, that we become very cynical because of politics, all right? And sometimes the behavior of politicians also, it puts that into the public domain. I, for example, I don't like the sirens and the politicians racing through traffic and all that.
You detest it? You don't like?
No, I don't like it because...
So you never had a motorcade or an escort?
There was only once that I had a motorcade. That was when I was going to inaugurate a district assembly. I think it was in Waja. I was the Minister of Information, and I was mandated to go and inaugurate that assembly. And it was during the rush hour. So at that time, the late ACP Awuni was the MTTU boss. So I called him and I pleaded with him. I said, look, I need an outrider to take me to the assembly, and he can leave me there and I'll find my way back. That was the only time I used the motorcade. Apart from the motorcades when you've joined the president and you're coming from somewhere, and that one, you can't avoid it. But I believe that if you are a member of parliament, you've also got to look at the situation of the ordinary man. You have to have some ordinary man and woman, or people in the traffic, they're sweating it out, and then you come whizzing by, And then I actually, when I was in Parliament, and I think if you go into the Hansard, I once stood against the idea that we should have bodyguards for all politicians. I know I'm going to be hammered for it, but it's true.
You had one.
I had one when I was a minister.
Yes.
And that has been part of the organization. But if you ask my bodyguards in those days, all right, I let them go very early.
Okay.
All right. If it wasn't official, no way.
So you don't keep them for weekends and say, well, I'm
no,
going
no, no.
They don't follow you around.
No.
You think it's wrong? You think they say security?
No, there is some social cachet to it.
Yeah.
That's something very enjoyable. But you see, you've got to sometimes say, no. I know it's very enjoyable, but is it right? You understand?
And it's costing the taxpayer. So you believe that if all MPs should say, well, we don't need the bodyguards, at least we're saving some money, right?
No, it's not about don't need the bodyguards. What we've got to do is to create a system where every Ghanaian is safe. All right? There's a relative degree of safety. And if we can force that into our system, then we won't need bodyguards. You understand where I'm coming from? So it's not as if, yes, right now the country is dangerous. I mean, one of the reasons why we got bodyguards was when one of our, at the time, a colleague was shot, because he didn't have a bodyguard and all that kind of thing. I can understand it. But I think that we should work to make our society safer.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we'll get into the creative arts, the media, and all of that. But let's talk about the country. And of course, we delve into politics now.
Yeah.
How do you assess Ghana's current political climate? Are we moving towards unity and progress, or divisions are deepening?
I'm a historian. I mean, I'm a history buff. So I look at the reasons behind the dynamics. All right. In 1957, when Kwame Nkrumah declared Ghana an independent state, we knew the kerfuffle before he became the prime minister and the differences and all that. But what they had, and I say that all the time, is that Ghana was a project in the making, and Ghana is still a project in the making. We are not a developed country.
We are not there yet.
We are not there yet at all. Because if you like history or you're a history buff, you will realize that 69 years is not long enough for a country such as ours, with disparate groups, ethnic groups, and languages and everything, to get there. We have to really work at uniting ourselves, all right? And so you can understand where Kwame Nkrumah came in with the one-party state, so that we wouldn't have second-class citizens within the political milieu.
Was it a good one? Is it something you subscribe to?
Well, half and half, because another thing that disturbed Kwame Nkrumah was the mindset of Ghanaians when we had the one-party state. You see what I mean? Certain people thought that they were more CPP than others. And that's my problem with Ghana now. We shouldn't have second-class citizens in Ghana because they belong to another political party. All right? And when my great mentor, Arthur Mills, said father for all, I've got people who will criticize him and say, what do you mean by father for all? These guys come in and they take their people on and they do this and they do that. I believe that every Ghanaian should be given the same opportunities. That's what makes me a socialist. That's what makes me a left-winger. I believe very much that everybody should be given an opportunity to grow, you know. And so if you are MPP,
and you can perform
and you are good.
That's right.
All right. And you have a job. All right. You should be given the opportunity. And you should also sometimes eschew the politicization that I'm MPP, so I'll work here to make sure that the NDC will never will fail, and vice versa. That is the mindset that we should get rid of.
So what will you say to people who maybe like foot soldiers, or some people say, well, these opportunities are job for the boys? Will you subscribe to some? When you were a minister, did you have people say, well, employ them because they are party people and let's not look at their competence?
I'll be very honest with you, I never did. Because you see, I was part,
that's when you're training.
I grew up, you know, looking at my father and looking at his colleagues, his contemporaries, the Inokukuns, you know, the KB Asantes, the Yensus, all these people who were building a nation. And for the first 10 years, 12, 15 years, everybody looked to Ghana as a miracle. All right? Because these people worked very, very hard. And they didn't care whether you were Fanti, you were Hausa. You know, they did it because they knew that they wanted a country that was worth living in. You understand? And I think that is the ethos of what we should be doing now. You know, I'm very proud to be an NDC man because I was very much part and parcel of the founding of the party. I believe that sometimes we go awry. And so, you know, I'd make a case. I would stand and say this is wrong, and maybe.
Oh, you did that. There are several instances that you had to say, well, yeah, I'm with this party, but this decision,
yes, you've got to be able to do that. Unfortunately, you need the right platform. Otherwise, it diffuses into nothingness. You understand? If you do it, you can't do it in Parliament, because if you stand and you make a criticism and you're on one side of the aisle, you'll be battered for it. But outside, you could say, look, this is not right. And, you know, because why did the founding fathers, all right, work in a certain way to turn Ghana into a great country. All right. And I said it a few days ago that in order for a country to prosper and progress and advance, you need healthy people. So that means that your health delivery systems have got to be good, and you've got to aim at achieving, a very high degree of health education. Then our people have got to be educated so that they can contribute to society, because they're literate, they can read signs, they can decipher information. You need roads so that people can move, because the movement of people and goods is very vital to a nation's progress, especially in terms of looking for jobs, labor, what have you, sending goods. We need the commercial opportunities. For the rural folk who grow our food, they need markets, they need distribution centers, they need for people to have easy access to whatever they produce. You understand? And then we also need other things that help us. Entertainment, so that, entertainment lightens the mood.
Right.
All right? It removes stress. But you can also use it to entertain. Right. Okay? Right. So all these things come into play.
Great pillars that you've mentioned. Great pillars indeed. So maybe on that score, how would you rate President Mahama as well? I remember you saying in 2025 that it's unfair to assess President Mahama's government within just 3 months. Do you still stand by that no quick judgment mantra?
Well, I feel that we've got a lot more to do.
Okay.
All right, but I'm not directing it at him, because I know John Mahama. I know he's a very charming, a very friendly, a person who means well. All right, but there are things that he's got to do. He's got to put the machinery into place.
Like what?
I think that we've got to deliver more. We talk too much.
Oh, we talk too much in this country.
Yeah, we talk
both
too much.
parties.
Yeah, both parties.
Wow.
And it's not a question of inaugurating a project. It's for that project to be sustained. It's for that project to impact. For instance, right now we still talk about the Volta Dam. All right? I mean, when the founding fathers were putting together the plans for the Kosovo Dam, they wanted something that would give Ghana power over years. And now it's a very sustainable project. And that is what we should do, and that's how we measure success. It's not by saying that we're going to have 150 hospitals. If we have hospitals that are not effective, that are not working, that people are dying, and people do not even trust the health delivery facility, then we're not doing the right thing.
So you believe that the talk is just too much?
It's too much.
What do you want President Mahama to? 1 year and some days in office? What is it that you're looking forward to, that you feel that, well, it has to be done and it's now?
Well, there are some fantastic ideas that he's put into place. I mean, I know because of politics people criticize, but the expressway to Kumasi it's a wonderful idea. It's about looking at how we're going to fund it and whether it won't kill us. But it's a great idea. You understand? We did say that Accra is a little congested and we want to build an adjunct city and all that. Now, I have a problem with that.
Oh, really? Right? People are saying Pram or maybe take it to...
No, because the whole of the southern part of Ghana, right up to the Akwapim Hills, is an earthquake zone. All right? So I believe that if we're going to build an adjunct city, it should not be in an earthquake zone. So we have to take that into consideration. And it's about long-term planning. We've got the National Development Planning Commission. We don't use it well enough. It shouldn't be...
No, come again, Uncle Fritz. We are not using the NDPC well enough.
No, because...
Is it underutilized?
Or totally underutilized.
Wow.
And we should give them far more shift so that they can contribute. You know, they can talk about development. So if you have a development idea and you put it to these guys, because they are supposed to be your experts on development. So, you know, we should have a comeback from them to say that, okay, we've looked at it and all that. They can do it quietly, or they can come out and put it in the papers. But they have an important role to play.
They should be vocal enough and be out there in our faces.
And they should be across political parties.
I love this. So you're talking about the agency. I said no, the Kuapim range and all. Where should we look at then?
Well, we've got their front planes. I can't say.
But if you suggest, if you feel that,
their front planes. At a certain time, Kintampo was in the center of the country. You look at Tichman; it's got some land and all that kind of thing. We can even go further up.
Those are bold decisions that India needs. Okay.
We really have to sit down and throw away the nonsense of he's an NDC guy, he's an MPP guy, they want to make money out of it. We've got to have a consensus. And that is very, very important. Harmony is very, very important in the progress of any nation. And our nation is a developing nation.
I love that.
It is not a developed nation.
I love that. And I love your thinking. And that's a deep thinker out there. You're talking about national unity. You're talking about progress in all the things that you
Cohesion,
said.
yes.
Yeah, cohesion. Let's put MPP, NDC aside. Let's move. It's one country. Let's build.
Yeah.
Wow. If you had to summarize the current state of Ghana in one sentence, what would it be?
We need to do more.
We need to do more.
Together.
Wow. So you've also warned against altering Ghana's history. What are the most dangerous distortions you see today? Like what?
Oh, they are distortions because, and I think that I blame our historians, and we've got a historical society of Ghana, and I think that they should talk a little bit more because they're the ones who studied the subject. They've done the research, they've got access to the archives and things like that, and they should debunk some of the things that go on. Fortunately, my father was a very good friend of Kwame Nkrumah, and they worked together, and that was one of the reasons why he was sent to the Kumasi College of Technology, and he became the vice chancellor of the KNUST, which came out of KCT. And I realized when I talked to my dad, because my dad started talking to us about Ghana from when we were about 4 or 5. He would talk to us about Ghana and the things that Ghana would do. And then I talked to my uncle Enoch Okun, who was the secretary to Kwame Nkrumah. There was Michael Dianan, who was a great author and writer. I even talked to Dr. Ephraim. When you sat down and talked to them, they oozed confidence and belief that what they were doing was right, and that it wasn't only right for the people of Ghana, but for Africa and the world. Because we saw people of the diaspora coming to Ghana to come and see this wonderful experiment.
So back then they used to come to Ghana like they're doing now.
Yeah. In 1957, Martin Luther King came to Ghana. Louis Armstrong's wife came to Ghana, and there's a beautiful story of Louis Armstrong's wife teaching Nkrumah how to dance, the ballroom dance. Because Nkrumah didn't know that at the State Ball, to celebrate independence, he would have to dance with the Queen's representative, Princess Marina of Kent. All right? And so when he was told he was going, he said, I can't dance, I've got 2 left feet. And the woman said, no, I'll teach you. And he danced beautifully. And there's some beautiful pictures of Kwame Nkrumah dancing with Princess Marina. But then after that, we had Maya Angelou, we had
Malcolm X visited Ghana as well?
Yes, okay. Langston Hughes, one of the greatest poets, black American poets, came down. Malcolm X came down, Muhammad Ali was here. All right, we had Cozy Cole. I mean, people were coming and were fascinated.
We need to tell this history. I know maybe it's documented, but how well do we tell them? Like you said, historians here in Ghana should do some more. History Society of Ghana.
You've got Starr FM. Yes. You've got GH1.
We'll invite them. They should come.
There are some fascinating Ghanaian professors and Ghanaian creatives who can tell the story so beautifully. For example, I'm sorry if I've got to mention his name. There's a professor in Legon called Professor Gavois, who's an which shows that we were far advanced in our development and in our societal development before the white man came, and that there was a disturbance and all that. And if you have that person talking, and if we have the money to help him write books and publish books, and these books have got to go in a way, we've got to send it to our children in school so that they know who we are. Because when we talk about our history now, we talk about our history from the time the European arrived on the shores of Elmina in 1471. That is not.
That's where it starts from.
No, it
It's
shouldn't start from.
European history.
Yeah, there was history.
Wow.
And why do we have matrilineal inheritance? Why do we have patrilineal inheritance? For example, I'm a sub chief of the Gans because my mother is part Ga, more Ga than anything else. But you look at the Ga people and people criticize them, but they're people of the sea. The resource that they mine in the main is the sea. So when the men go out to sea, they come back to the land to rest. You understand? Yeah. So this is a place for recreation for them. As against, though we had Ga farmers, because the village where I am a sub-chief is a Ga farming community. But the farming communities were to support the fishermen. So you realize that during Homo War, we actually wait for the farming communities to bring the grain so that we can mill it, and then we go back later. They celebrate their war later when we bring the fish and we take it to them.
Beautiful.
So
look at how history is being explained, and that's what we need to break.
That's right. And then we look at the Dagumbas, because I'm part Dagumba, and the Dagumbas, all right, the royalty, the aristocracy of the Dagumbas came from Zamfara in Nigeria, and the only advantage they had over the people, the autochthonous people in the north, was that they came on horseback. You understand? They had a cavalry. You understand? And they came with their Hausa language, but where is it now? Because the people of Dagbon, all right, were able to assimilate the aristocracy and turn them into full Dagbon, the people of Dagbon, the Gwando.
And for them to speak Dagbani.
Dagbani.
Wow.
You
never knew this.
So these things are the stories we should tell our children. You understand? Where the Kwawus, for example, were people who lived in the mountains, all right? They'd gone over the years from the history, they'd climbed the mountain to secure themselves. Now, what kind of food do you get on the mountains? You can't farm as much. Yes, you can do the plantain and all that, but in terms of meat, so they say, then they eat dankwanser because that was the protein that was available to them.
And that's the bats, right?
Yeah, the bats.
Okay.
It wasn't because they were inferior people. They needed protein. You understand? And, the flying ants, the flying ant, if you talk to any biologist, will tell you it's got a lot of protein. All right? So human beings don't do things because they're stupid. They do things because they want to survive.
You know,
no.
I don't know whether you're an anthropologist or because you know the history. You do.
You've got to read.
Ghana is Ghana month. We are in the month of March, and I was saying to somebody 2 days ago, look, it's a heritage month. Are we trumpeting it enough? Where are historians? Well, our heritage. What do we stand for? What are we recognizing?
Right.
Are we being selective?
Right. When the Presbyterians were the first European missions after the slave trade was abolished, to take slaves and start training them. And they started training the Presbyterian community. The Presbyterians are Lutherans. So they have a certain lifestyle of thrift, of hard work, all right, of not doing anything for nothing, all right. And they were in the Kwahu Mountains. And they were the first, they trained the people of Kwahu to farm in the valley, the palm oil and the cocoa, so that they could exchange it for goods coming in from Switzerland and Bremen, all right? Then they also trained them into bookkeeping and other vocations, all right? And the Kwahu men who came down, because they were the ones who became the clearing agents at a certain time, all right? They became the clearing agents, and so they became experts at merchandising. And I remember when I was working at GNTC, all our top managers were from Kwahu, all right? Eo in Tree and the Kwachis and wonderful men. And I realized that when they came to Ghana, came to Accra, they were men. And there were not many of them. They married the Ga women. And they had things in common because the Ga women are very commercially minded.
That's right.
And it's because when the men, the Ga men went to sea and they came back, they gave the fish to their wives to sell. Okay. And the profits that the women had, they used to actually trade, all right, with the ships coming in and all that. And I remember in the 60s and all that, Mokola was such a vibrant place, all right? And if you were a young girl and you didn't like to go to school, they'd give you to an aunt in Mokola, and by the time you were there for 10 years, you'd be a woman of substance. Maybe not well educated in terms of literate,
but in business and commerce.
In business and commerce. So these are the stories that we've got to tell our people, so that they have a certain grasp of our capability.
You know, like I said, it's Heritage Man. I think we need to bring you back on Starr FM and GH1. Let's look at it. Let's trace the history and talk about it. And you break it down so well that, you know, I'm deeply engrossed in it. I'm following and I love it. So just imagine a Kwahu man and a Ga woman combination.
Yes.
And that's why they control the Okaishi.
Right.
You have a lot of them. That's it. I get it.
I was working at GNTC. I joined GNTC in 1969.
Right.
And Ajabeng was their big warehouse, and all the women, both the Kwahu men and the Mokola women would come. They had passbooks, and then they would, you know, come to buy the goods. And at that time, we had control prices. So I saw this.
You saw it.
And I actually sat down, made friends with them because I was very curious, young man. And the
great conversation. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll talk about you growing up and, you know, schooling out there in Britain, coming back home, sincerely yours, FNF, and working at GBC television, or GBC as it was back then, now GTV. We'll get a lot more. But what kind of music do you love to listen to? My DJ Mono is standing by to play.
CK Man, Shatawale, whatever.
Oh, you love Shatawale. What about Shatawale?
I can't help it.
Really?
He's from Koligona.
Koligona Ninja. Yeah. Hey, you love his songs. Which one is your favorite? So that we play it for you now. Which one?
Jealousy. The one he did with
Amrado. Hey, you know that Uncle Phrase 74. You're bumping to it. So Jealousy. Okay, DJ Mono has that one for us. Shatawale, Jealousy. We're going for a break. When we come back, we have a lot more just for you. So Mono, let's go.
The reason.
Fritz Baffour is our guest right here on the show. And your favorite song is playing. You love Shatawale Amrado, right?
That's right.
Blessings, they call this one.
Blessings, I said
Yeah,
jealousy. Sorry.
fantastic, great tune. So welcome back, and saying a big thank you to our sponsors, to Gold Board Jewelry. Thank you, and also going out to Starr Assurance. We send a very big thank you to you. We'll be telling you about the Power Alumni Power Union. Well, something great is coming up, and I'll be telling you more about that at the OWAC Sports, Stadium. Alumni Power Games 2026 is coming up. But first, let's talk about growing up in Gono.
Right.
Back then, how was it like?
Well, let me tell you.
You were born there?
I was born in Koligono.
Oh, right.
My grandmother and grandfather, they had houses there.
Okay.
And my father was then the city engineer. So when he married my mother, they moved into my grandmother's house. And so that's where I was born, in Kolebu. My mother was a midwife.
Oh, right.
So Kolebu is just down the road. I mean, in fact, from my grandmother's house, you walk straight and it goes to the Kolebu gate.
All right.
So for the first 3 years of my life, that's where I grew up. Then we moved to the Ridge when my father was made the chief transport officer of the Gold Coast. And we lived there. My father went through several jobs. He became the permanent secretary, which is now the chief director of the Ministry of Transport and Communications. And he was a supply commissioner before he went to Kumasi.
Okay.
So we lived in the Ridge. And formative years, I went to New Nation School, which was called Mrs. Sam's, which is around the Lotteries area.
Okay.
And then I went to Christ the King, and one of the founding members of
Christ the King.
Of Christ the King, wow. Yeah. And then we moved to Kumasi, where I went to University Primary. But then in 1966, after the coup, my father left Tech. So we had to move back to Accra. And so that's when we moved into Koligono. Oh, wow. And Koligono was a wonderful place because it was one of the first planned communities, modern communities in the Gold Coast in Ghana.
Oh.
Yeah. In the 1900s, early 1900s, there was a plague, a bubonic plague. And the British were so scared that it would kill a lot of people. So they decided to build a new community in Koligono. And so Koligono doesn't flood. And the buildings was well planned, well designed.
So it's been like that, I mean,
yeah,
from time. I mean, it's not...
Over the years, it's deteriorated. Yeah. But at that time, we had most of the staff from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital living there. Oh. We had... most of the people from the AMA and all that. So it was a lower middle class area. But in the 60s, at that time, we had quite a few people, MPs and doctors and accountants and all that. And the children, we all got together and we did wonderful things together.
Right.
And so Koligono has been a place that I've always loved.
Then you speak a lot of languages there because by virtue, I mean, you lived in Kumasi, born here in Accra. You mentioned that a part of you comes from the northern part of Ghana, from where, Tamale?
No, actually, Yendi.
Yendi. Yeah. So you speak the language?
No, I don't.
You don't?
But at least I can bluff.
And you have the stature too.
I can say a few words and people get excited.
Oh, right. So how many languages do you speak?
Oh, I don't speak that many languages.
Oh, you don't speak that many?
Apart English, and I speak Ghana.
Okay.
I speak very bad Fanti and very bad Twi. But the patois, the Liberian patois,
yes.
I speak it very, very well.
Oh, really? So then say, hello to our folks in Budumburam camp and also in Liberia who are listening to us online. What do you want to say to them?
I say, my people, I want you to listen to this program, to this man, Bola Ray. You're a hell of a man.
Well, you did some broadcasting in Liberia as well, or what?
I did.
You did?
I lived in Liberia off and on for 4 years. And
wow.
I had a program in Liberia.
Wow. Okay.
called Just For You.
And you speak the what do you call broken English also?
It's a pidgin.
Pidgin English, yes.
It's a language in itself.
Oh, in Liberia.
Yes, I mean
Ah.
the language is derived from English.
English.
But the pronunciations are from around the area.
Oh.
So that's what we call a patois.
Patois. Right. And then, pidgin English from Nigeria as well.
That's
They
also
speak
a patois.
Oh, that's also patois.
Yeah,
So
that's
patois it's not only Jamaican English.
No. Patois means a language, a transformation where the language has been localized.
Ah.
So there are a lot of inflections of the local area, with the main body being English. Okay.
Okay.
At least I'm talking about the English patois, because we have French patois. All right. If you go to the French Caribbean, they also speak a certain Haiti and all those places, Benin and all those places. They have a patois, which is originally French.
Right. So Eresi sent a message, and she said that he's very eloquent and he speaks so well, and I'm in love with him. Is he married? I'm surprised that somebody, by your voice and your diction, they're already in love. You get that from the ladies, uncle?
I'm 74.
Yeah.
And I have a wife I've been married to for 40 years. so
How many children?
5.
Wow. You've been busy, man.
Well.
Wow. Your children are here in Ghana?
Yeah, there's only one here.
Oh, there's only one here. The rest are out there.
Yes.
Fantastic. And you've been married for 40 years.
Yeah.
How is it like, for many like us who look up to you and we're trying, I've done 20 years, so half of your journey.
Yeah, but
how is it like?
That was my second marriage, so I had a little bit of training.
An experience.
Yeah. I think it's a great thing. I've looked at some of my friends who've not been married, and I found out that they have a hard time.
Right. Marriage is a blessing, huh?
It's a blessing, yes. And also, it's based on patience and understanding. When you're married, you've got to be very patient. You've got to be understanding, and you have to believe in harmony. It's very, very important. And there's also the important side, which is respect.
So which one comes first? Is it love or is it respect? Many people feel that.
One thing about love is a fantastic thing. Falling in love is a fantastic thing. But it's a very unstable emotion. All right? And so, you get different degrees of love. You meet a lovely lady, she's got a nice ass, she walks beautifully, and she's got a beautiful face, and she speaks. And you get on and you love each other and you have bouts of jealousy and anger and all that. But when you marry and then you decide to say, we've got to make this a success, then, all the others come in. Patience, respect, getting to understand the other person's point of view. Your point of view is not always right. So you learn these things. And I think that is the essence.
Wow.
Of what makes a marriage successful.
Thanks for the tip and walking us through, that path as well. We'll talk about your craft now, comedy, media. How did you get into all of that? Comedy, at what age or stage did it come into your life?
Well, my father, despite the fact that I was an engineer, was a creative. When he was in Achimota doing his degree, he produced Gilbert and Sullivan's, they had the opera, The Pirates of Penzance, which he called it The Pirates of Pram Pram. So he had a beautiful voice, beautiful singing voice. And then the first Ghanaian feature film, The Boy Kumasinu, my father is the lawyer in that film. He played a major part in it. So he loved films. And when he was in when he was in Achimota, he went to Britain by boat to study, for a few months. And while he was an intern there, he acted in a film with Paul Robeson, the famous American singer, and Jomo Kenyatta in a film called Saunders of the River. And so when my dad came back. He acted in The Boy Kumasinu, and development comes to Kojo Krom. I think 4 or 5 Ghanaian films from the Ghana film unit of the Gold Coast film unit of the 50s. So he loved films. So right from when we were young and we could decipher films, he took us to the films. We went to Rex, the Rex Cinema, which is by the old Parliament House, was a place we always went to watch films, and he would sit with us and also explain a lot of the things. And we loved Charlie Chaplin and Abbott and Costello and all the funny people. And, we took to that. And I learned to mimic, so I realized. And my dad was a great storyteller, so we learned to also tell stories. And so in school, I wasn't very good in the dramatic arts. I was always... they said I couldn't sing because I had this deep voice from when I was about 10 years old.
Oh.
And so when everybody was singing tenor, I was singing bass. So in Perma College, I was only for one boy who didn't join the choir. All right. Right now, I can sing like a dream.
Oh, right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right?
Because I can use my voice. But, I took to the arts. And my dad, being an engineer, never opened a bonnet to show me, the workings of a car. All right. But he would sit with us and would listen to music.
Wow.
Would listen to music, and he would explain, and, we did back, and then we met.
He's a true creative.
Yeah. So he put that into us. So as I started growing up at about 11, 12, I became a very good MC. My mother used to have tea parties and things like that, and I'd be the MC. And you had to speak well.
Wow.
And I learned to embellish it with jokes and things like that. So gradually, I grew up to be this man who tells stories.
And people would laugh, and you made a living and a fortune out of that. Huh? That's it. And you do it so well that the craft you've brought. You know what it is. People want to be like you. They say Uncle Fritz is the man. That's the standard, the gold standard. And for me, that is what it should be. Your work at GBC, what were you doing there?
It's actually a bit of a mistake when people say I work for GBC. I was what we call an artiste.
Artiste? Like a guest?
Yeah, guest.
Oh.
Guest, yes. So I hosted programs, but I was paid as a guest.
Okay.
And I saw the greats. I saw Mike Egan. Yeah. All right. I saw David Larby.
Did you meet Charlie Sam?
Oh, yes. Charlie Sam came after me.
Okay.
Yeah. But a good friend of mine, and super people. All right. And so, you sat at their feet and learned. Because one of the things a lot of the GBC guys did, ones on radio, were that they were MCs at the band programs.
Okay.
There used to be, we had Metropole in the center of Accra, Mokola, and they used to have an afternoon jump on Saturdays.
So Metropole, take us back for many that are young. Metropole was it a disco, a nightclub?
No, it was
what?
It was a hall.
It was a
dance. It was an open air dance hall. And they played music. I mean, live music.
Okay.
You had the barbecues, you had the Black Beats, you had E.T. Mensah, all Bramblers, all of them played.
In Accra?
Accra.
Palladium or where?
Yeah, no, it's in Mokola. If you go from the old UTC and you walk eastwards, all right, it used to be in Mokola. And that's where the Mokola women, after on Saturdays, would come in after 5 o'clock.
Afternoon jump.
Afternoon jump. Yes.
People patronized it.
And it would go on till about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock.
You guys jumped back in the day.
Yeah. And, I was working at GNTC, 16, 17. And a lot of the boys who had not done well in the O levels and couldn't go to sixth form and were doing our World War II. All right, we're all working. Okay. Some of them in SIC, some of them Standard Bank, Commercial Bank, and I was at GNTC, and we'd all meet because on Saturdays it was a half day.
You meet the market women there.
We meet the market women there, and when you spoke impeccable English, they bought you beer in Wobbler.
Really? Wow. The good old days, huh?
Yeah, good old days. Yes.
So you had Metropole. What other clubs
We
or
had- we
dance
had-
halls
we had
were there?
Metro, and the big one, we had Tiptoe and we had Lido.
Oh, Lido.
Yeah, Lido is
Circle.
just, circle. And Tiptoe is also circle.
Circle. Okay.
All right, and then we had Apollo Theatre, which is on the ring road.
Ring Road, yeah. Towards
and
Asylum, like just around that side.
that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, we had several, and then the nightclubs.
Mm-hmm.
We had Downbeat, which is an Asylum Down.
Downbeat.
Yes.
Okay.
And we had Saint Nitouche, which is also in Asylum Down, and it used to be a popular haunt of Jerry Rawlings at the time.
Oh, really?
Then
The
we
name
had
again of the place is what?
Nitouche.
Nitouche.
And then we had Napoleon in Usu.
Okay.
All right.
So it seems like Asylum Down was the hub of what? Like,
That area,
That area,
the
circle.
circle, yes. So sometimes you'd go to Tiptoe, listen to a band, then walk on to Apollo Theatre. Apollo Theatre, then you'd rather end up at the Touche or Downbeat.
You've been there, done that. That's the man who celebrated his 74th birthday yesterday. I'll buy you a bottle of beer. Don't worry. I'll be at the market. Oh, you stopped?
I stopped drinking 5 years ago.
Oh, real? Okay, so I'll buy you what? What do you want?
Glass of water with ice.
You know, your famous commentary, Ghana versus Nigeria. Somebody just said, Dr. Nash says that I want him to do that live on radio for us. Bola, he should just recount that for us. This man in the studio that you're celebrating is awesome. And we love him for that. Ghana-Nigeria match. Which one is that? You did a commentary on that. What is it?
It's a story told to me by a friend, but it's hilarious. Ghana and Nigeria were great competitors from the 50s. There was an annual match. One would be played in Accra, and the next year we played in Nigeria and all that. And the tension was incredible. And the Nigerians had a commentator called Ishola Folarinshaw. And he was very biased when it came. He was a brilliant commentator. But so I have a skit that I made based on the way Ishola Folarinshaw used to do this is how it goes. It says, here we are at the Surulere Sports Stadium where the match between the Black Stars of Nigeria and the Green Eagles of Nigeria, the Black Stars of Ghana and the Green Eagles of Nigeria is about to take place. The ball is in the center circle. The Ghanaians are coming on the pitch. Look at the way they are walking. The way they are walking, you know that they are not going to win this match. And then the Nigerians are coming on the pitch. The referee whistles. The match has started. Afolabi passed the ball to Igwe, Igwe to Balogun, Balogun to Igwe, Igwe to Afolabi. Afolabi shoots the ball. He's going to shoot. Idiot. He missed the goal. That's it.
That's it. He didn't say anything for the Ghanaians, though.
No.
And you did this so well. I mean, talk about FNF and some of the things that you did on stand-up comedy on the stage.
Yeah, when you're doing stand-up comedy, you're telling a story.
Yes.
And you look, and what Tomio said was right. It's very difficult. Because I'll tell you why I stopped stand-up comedy.
Why?
And this is a confession. Some 25 years ago, before I went into active, I was still, I got a Nigerian promoter came and said he wanted to take me to Britain, and he promised a lot of money. All right. And so we went to Britain. And he didn't do his homework well. So, this big hall, I got on stage, and there were about 5 or 6 people. And all of a sudden, all right, my tongue cleft to my upper palate. I couldn't remember my jokes.
Really?
Yes, I bombed miserably. So I just said, what? And then luckily there was a Nigerian comedian who saw that I was in trouble. So he came and took over, and I went and sat down. The guy said, I'm not going to pay you. So I went to London. I had to come back to Ghana. We went round, but I never recovered.
You never recovered from 25 years ago?
No. I never recovered from that, and I said, I will not do comedy again.
Wow.
I will not do stand-up comedy. But not that I just decided that wasn't for me. Maybe God wanted me to do something else.
Well, so from your nephew is also Fritz. So Fritz says hi. Yesterday was your birthday. Say he wished you a
Yes,
happy
he
birthday.
did. He
Yes,
did.
exactly.
Wonderful
And he's
friend,
listening
yes.
to us. You're a good friend, and
Yeah.
he says hello to you and all of that. So getting into does that mean that you've stopped stand-up comedy?
No,
completely?
no. It's something you can't stop.
Okay.
But where I was doing it virtually as almost a profession, all right, it took a lot of my time. But I
Right.
stopped that and I started concentrating on other things.
On other
I was
things.
still doing Sincerely Yours, which is I was producing and
Right.
directing and all that, and I produced quite a few documentaries, international documentaries, World Bank and all that. But the highlight of my working life was going on stage and making people laugh. But then, I decided that I'll concentrate on other things, and I'm fulfilled.
You are fulfilled indeed. As we get ready to wrap it all up, you once mentioned that leaving politics, you were going to focus on football, particularly, Accra Great Olympics.
That's my team. I'm a director of Olympics.
Oh, you are? How is that going? How is Olympics, by the way?
Well, we're not doing too well, but we're putting together a plan that'll be sustainable for our team to climb up from where it is now, so that we could get back to our Premier League status.
Only
So-
that day.
That day, Imashi.
Imashi. So you think that Oli is going to bounce back in style?
Oh, it'll bounce back in style.
Real?
Yeah,
You sure about that?
very positive.
So when you are not out there, how do you want to relax, or how do you relax, I must say?
Oh, I read a lot.
You do?
I read a lot, and I like watching films. I read a lot. I've got a very extensive library, and I also like to sit with people who are informed, to listen to them. I listen a lot when I'm with people who are very knowledgeable. I sit down very quietly and listen to what they have to say.
Right.
And you learn a lot from that. That's why I'm saying that every day you learn something.
Every day, indeed, you
Yeah.
learn something.
And there are some very, very intelligent, very clever people around, both young and old.
In politics, who actually is the inspiration?
Well, I didn't want to go into politics because my mother was a twin, and her twin sister was Mrs. Obeche Bilamte, who was the wife of the late great Obeche Bilamte.
Okay.
And he was a UP man, and my father was an advisor to Kwame Nkrumah. So Akwele was a Baffour and Akoko was an Obeche Bilamte. All right. And Obeche Bilamte died in prison. So my mother wasn't very keen on politics. And then in 1966, when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, we also went through a very painful period of our lives. So it really confirmed to her that politics wasn't something that you... But then I met Jerry John Rawlings, and though I've always been interested in politics and ideologies and things like that, I met him and gradually grew to understand what he wanted to do, and I believed in his dream and everything, and then I went into politics. And at a certain time, when my mother died, I said, oh, this is an opportunity. I know it's
Do
not a nice
you
thing
think
to
that
say.
Jerry John Rawlings is the best president thus far? I mean, since independence, you worked closely with him, good friend and all of that. Will you give it to Jerry John or somebody else?
I don't think it is fair to do that to any of the other presidents, because the situations are very different.
Okay.
I thought that Kwame Nkrumah was a very good president to start the way.
Okay.
And when we had a situation where we had to correct some of the problems in Ghana, Jerry Rawlings stepped in. And I loved Atta Mills. He was a listening president,
Okay.
just like Jerry. The amazing thing about those two people is that they listened.
Okay.
They whether you were a young man or what, they would listen to you, and they would proffer their opinion of what you've been saying.
President Kufuor, your thoughts?
Oh, I love him.
President Akufo-Addo, in one word.
I know him.
You said you love President Kufuor. Atta Mills, fantastic. Jerry John, Akufo-Addo.
No, you see, I didn't have the kind of relationship with Akufo-Addo
Right.
that I have with the others.
Okay.
All right. Though I've known Akufo-Addo since I was a young boy. And when we meet each other, we're very cordial with each other.
President Mahama.
Oh, yes. I mean, how can you not like President Mahama?
On that note, it's now time for our mystery questions, and you just pick 2 for us, and then we'll be ending it up, Uncle Fritz.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So kindly read it out for us. What do we have there, please?
All right. Let me see. If you could revive one forgotten aspect of Ghanaian showbiz, what would it be and why?
Yes.
This is very difficult, but I believe that one aspect of Ghanaian showbiz that we should revive is concert party.
Oh, you want concert party back?
Right. Because it appeals to a majority of Ghanaians, and it's something that they can understand, and it helps relieve tensions. So that's one aspect I would talk about.
All right. The next question right there in the bowl will be, before we wrap it all up.
All right.
Yes, sir.
In Ghanaian public life that you believe embody the leadership qualities Ghana needs now. Oh, sorry. Who are the figures, past or present, in Ghana, in Ghanaian public life that you believe embody the leadership qualities Ghana needs now? Well, one, I never met him, but I think Kwijiragri, who was very influential in turning Achimota into a very great institution. I would also mention Ephraim, because the kind of music and the content of his music was very, very important, and you know, it encapsulates what Ghana should be. When we hear about Yeranya Assassini and all the others that he'd written. So those 2,
right,
for the moment, and I'm not going to talk about politicians because the jury is out. The jury is out.
Uncle Fritz, what an evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
For the wisdom, the knowledge, deep insights shared. And like I said, we'll call on you, we'll bring you back. Heritage Month, it is the month of March, and you have a lot in you that we need to actually tap. But thank you very much, sir. When all
welcome.
is said and done, how do you want to be remembered? And we'll get it to your favorite, maybe Western tune, but when all is said and done, you want to be remembered as the man or the guy who did what?
The guy who made Ghana laugh.
I love that. Thank you. And this
My
CK
song,
Man, this is your song, Adjua Yankee. Any history to this? Anything that you know? You met CK Man, no?
Well, if I say it, everybody will say, "Oh, for this man." CK Man is a relative of mine.
Hey, you are related to
Everybody.
You are indeed Papa Ghana. We love you for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For honoring our invitation. Have a wonderful time, sir.
Right. All right.
Bola Ray.
And yes, what an evening. Thank you for sharing those great insights with us. And we're happy right here on Starr FM to celebrate you. We say, take your flowers, sir. Ghana Dawase. Thank you all to my producers, to the team. Loads of love. My name is Bola Ray. You have a wonderful evening. The man who is celebrating his 1-year anniversary on Starr 103.5 FM, DJ Toyo, takes over your radio after this.